Hello, I'm Dave and this is Fiver, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Sort of. Now today's video is going to be slightly different to the normal ones you see on the channel. We're not actually going to do a countryside walk, so if you're expecting that, sorry about that, but don't worry, Logan and I will be along next week with another normal video of a walk in the countryside. So what are we doing today? Well, as you can probably tell from my attire, I'm not so much dressed for walking, I'm dressed for running. Because today, Fiver and I will be taking part in a race in the UK Garmin Trail Running Festival. Well, I better tell you where we are to start off with. We're at a little village called Wimborne St Giles. It's situated in East Dorset, about 7 miles north of Wimborne Minster and 12 miles north of Poole. Well, as I mentioned, we are going to be doing this race today, so the bulk of this video will be about me and Fiver trying to complete this race, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it later, so hopefully you won't find it too self-indulgent. There will be plenty of countryside scenes to view, and there might be a bit of heavy breathing as well. Now, Wimborne St Giles gets its name from, well, win and burner, which is Old English for stream running through a meadow. The River Allen that goes by here used to be called the River Wimborne, and St Giles is the name of the church in the village. I think there was a church here as far back as 1207, but the present church originates from 1514 and was rebuilt in 1732. Anyway, before the race starts, let's have a little look around the estate at St Giles. Well, before I go any further with the video, let me tell you a bit about the magnificent house which is just behind me here. Isn't that quite splendid in the morning sunshine? So St Giles House, well, it was built in 1651 on the site of an existing house by Anthony Ashley Cooper, the first Earl of Shaftesbury. And it stands in a vast park of some 400 acres through which the River Allen flows and feeds a lake. The entire estate today covers 5,500 acres. As you can see, it's a low quadrangular building. The name of the architect isn't actually known, but it's been altered over the years, and I was reading it was used as a hospital in the First World War and a school in the Second World War. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about the history, firstly of the Ashley family, who were originally from Wiltshire. The first ancestor to live in Wimborne St Giles was Robert Ashley, who was born in 1415, and he was the 5th great-grandfather of Anthony Ashley Cooper. The 9th Earl moved into a manor house in the village in 1954, and in 2001 it was recorded as being on the register of buildings at risk, indicating its neglect and decay. It's currently owned by Nicholas Ashley Cooper, the 12th Earl of Shaftesbury. And in 2005, he started a big restoration, and he now lives with his family in an apartment in one wing. The family's got a quite fascinating and somewhat tragic history. I'll let you look it up. But today, the venue is used for weddings, events, exhibitions and festivals. And just right in front of the house is this replica of the statue of Eros that can be found at Piccadilly Circus in London. Although it's not actually Eros, the Greek god of love, but it's his brother, Anti-Eros. And why is this replica here? Well, the correct name for the statue in Piccadilly Circus is the Shaftesbury Memorial Fountain, and it was unveiled in 1893 to commemorate the 7th Earl of Shaftesbury. He had become one of the nation's great social reformers. And this replica, I think it's just one of 10 made from the same mould as the original, was put up here fairly recently during the restoration of the house. I'm not 100% sure, but I did see a very old photograph of the house, and it didn't seem to have the statue in front of it. Oh, what a sad looking gate. It feels it should have a fence, probably did at one stage. It's a beautiful setting though, isn't it? And just to the south of St Giles House is this quite stunning lake that's fed by the River Allen. The River Allen itself is 14 miles long, and the source isn't too far away actually, to the northeast of the village, and it flows south to Wimborne, where it joins the River Stour. Well, I'll tell you what, it's certainly a glorious autumnal morning, that's for sure. Well, the UK Trail Running Festival, it's not been going that long. I think it evolved from the New Forest Marathon in 2020 and 2021 that took place during the COVID restrictions. And there are a number of races. There's a half marathon, a 10K, a 5K, a junior race. I've decided to do the 5K race with Fiver, mainly because, well, it's his first race with a racing harness. We have done a park run together. We did that about 3 weeks ago. For those of you who don't know about park runs, Park Run is an organisation that puts on runs throughout the country every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. They're always over 5K. I think there's about 700 locations. And we did the one at Bournemouth, so we're sort of over 500 finishers. We started right at the back and worked our way through, and I was pleased with the way Fiver went. We probably wouldn't do a park run again because they changed the rules with running with dogs in park runs in April, insofar as now they've got to be on a lead obviously, but not attached to your belt, and they have to be to your side and no further than an arm's length, which is obviously good for the safety of other runners, but it's not the safest way to run with a dog. Whereas today it'll be under, well, I can run like a canicross event and have the dog running in front of me attached to my belt. I think this is the first year that they've allowed dogs to run with the other runners, although I understand that dogs will have to start a little bit further back. They'll have their own separate wave. Now, running's always been very important in my life. In my early to mid-20s, I was a 400-metre runner with a best time of 48.5, and I was doing 800 metres in 1 minute 53. I was run a few times for my county, Sussex, and ran for Edinburgh Athletic Club in the British League for about 4 years. But 1 year I came fourth in the Scottish 400-metre championship final. But so I was okay, but not quite the big time. Anyway, so when my speed started to leave me, I carried on running, but doing sort of 10Ks and half marathons. I was doing 10K in under 38 minutes and half marathon in 1 hour 24. And then got to my mid-40s and my knees were playing up and I stopped running completely. I started to have other interests. I had my horse, which obviously needed a bit of riding with. But then I got to my mid-50s. I hadn't run for 10 years. I looked at myself in the mirror. It wasn't a pretty sight. So I started up again, and it really was like starting from scratch. I could hardly run 100 yards. And so over the last 5 years, I've been, well, I'd call it a gentle jog of 2-3 miles, 2 or 3 times a week. And I enter, I don't know, 2 or 3 races each year just to have something to aim for. But these days, I'm afraid, well, you'll see from some of the footage looking at the supports on my knees, I'm not really built for long distance running. Well, just to explain Fiver's kit, as it were, this is a special harness for running. So it gives loads of freedom round his shoulder and in his front. I actually have it quite loose because I don't want it to rub him in any way. So just as a safety mechanism, I do have attached to the ring here just this little strap here that goes in and under his collar. So if he did come out of the harness, then at least the lead and harness is still attached to the collar. And then as far as his lead's concerned, you can see it's a long lead, bit of bunginess in it. The idea is that he runs in front of me by about a metre or so I can see him all the time. And then lift me myself up here, I've got a special belt that goes round, and that's how he's attached to me. So I hopefully should have my both hands free, although I obviously can get hold of the lead. And if the buckle goes on the belt, it's not a disaster because these two bits are still attached to me, and there's two of these as well, so if one of those fails, then you've still got the other one. So that's our setup. Okay, well, we're going to see how we get on recording this. I've got 3 cameras, so I've got, you can see down on my chest, that's the GoPro 8, and then I'm going to be holding my GoPro 10, and then I've got somebody watching today with a GoPro 7 that hopefully will record the start and the finish. But I think what I'll do is I'll rely on the internal microphone of the cameras rather than the external. I don't really want to have a microphone sort of wobbling about. Well, the good news is we've found the bar for afterwards. So I'm in the warm-up area now. It's all getting a bit tense, and all the dogs are eyeing each other up. It's a bit like just before a gunfight in a spaghetti western. Okay, folks, here we go. I say, right, we're over the start line.
Right, are you ready for the start tune? Here it comes now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy. Right, here's one for the Whippets. Are you ready?
So we've got a very pleasant start with a gentle jog down what looks like an avenue of trees, and yeah, they're starting to go over now. Autumn, some lovely colours. Right, let's kick on. Strange little building on the right there, and then over on the left we've got the lake. Oh, it's quite beautiful end to the lake on the southern side. Reflections are wonderful. Ooh. Running and speaking at the same time, not a good idea. But look at that for a view. Isn't it wonderful? One kilometre to go, and it's a dead straight route all the way back to the house with this lovely avenue of trees either side. What?
Big smile, hands in the air. Go on, put your hands up.
Here we go.
Put your hands up.
Go on now.
See, that's a cheese.
All the way through.
That's what you call the money shot.
There you go. Oh, come on.
Come on, you people. Well,
Come on, boy.
I'm just saying, I'm going to beat you lot. Oh, touche.
Come on.
Neil, how you doing? All
Hey,
right?
mummy.
Well done, Neil.
He's spotted.
Another great hat. This
His
is
mum.
flying round.
Come on.
Go,
Come on.
please. Can we do it again? Let's go round again.
Hey.
Wow.
Oh, well,
Gosh, turn up a bit. Oh,
well, one for the dog. Come on.
I'll fly you. Well done, sir.
You have your. Hey, there you go. Well folks, we've come to the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. We certainly had a lot of fun making it. But do join us next week when Logan and I will be back out in the countryside for another countryside walk. So until we meet again, thanks for watching and cheerio. Right, a well deserved. Cheers. Oh, lovely.